What's up? Let's do this thing, queens.
Kings, queens, in-betweens, all are welcome here on Father's Day and every day. That's fair, right?
Yeah. Hello, and welcome to Hardly Working, the show about life, love, and labor, hosted by the couple that works, plays, and stays together most of the time. I'm Kelly.
Wow! And I'm SP. I was already thinking like a really light intro for Father's Day of all days.
I know, he's making fun of me over here, and so
that's true.
I gave it right back.
Gave it right back.
Happy Father's Day episode.
Happy Father's Day episode to you too. I guess I can say that, right?
Yeah.
Because if I said Happy Father's Day to you,
I'm not a father's.
not yet.
I'm not a father.
No, you'd be
But you
besides yourself.
Happy Father's Day.
Thank you. Happy
You're
Father's
welcome.
Day to all the fathers, the founding fathers,
No.
Father Time.
Alexander Hamilton.
Yep.
His name is Alexander Hamilton.
My father, your father.
Your
Say it. Say it.
Your father's dead.
How? What? No, that's true. May he rest in Father's Day. But
Yep.
it is Father's Day. It's my day as a dad.
It's your ninth Father's Day.
One
I
more
guess
time
you
with
could
that?
say
What'd you
it's your
say?
ninth.
Oh, I thought you said it's your ninth Father's Day.
Your
I was
ninth.
like,
Maybe it's your 10th, because if you counted it when she was in the belly.
believe it or not, no. Well, when she was 0, I had a Father's Day.
So it'd be 10.
Yeah.
Happy 10th Father's Day.
Thank you. A decade of being a dad.
Aww.
Oh, I actually don't know if that math is totally
I don't
right,
know,
but I'm
we're-
going to go with that.
My dad will tell us. Happy Father's Day to you too, Dad.
Yeah. Speaking of dads,
Math.
did you do any, did you have any Father's Day traditions growing up?
Way to put me on the spot. No. Maybe we just hung out with my dad.
Nothing special? No, like breakfast in bed or like here's like a tie or anything like that?
Here's like a tie. I did make him a craft tie one year at school. I like distinctly
Did that,
remember
like macaroni glued onto it?
that. No, maybe, but I don't think so.
Can you imagine? You couldn't tie it if it
No,
had hard
it was like
macaroni
it was
on
like a
there.
card, and there was
Yeah.
like a tie on it, and it was cute. It was cute.
That's
No, but I
definitely-
do give my dad ties. I feel like that's a thing. He has a couple ties for me. One that he's actually kept throughout the years because I bought it in Japan, and it has roses on it. It's black and has roses on it.
Oh.
He did keep that one.
The last time I saw your dad wear a tie was at our wedding.
Yeah, every now and then he'll wear a tie to church, I think.
Really?
Special occasions.
We'll find
Father's
out.
Day.
On Father's Day.
Should wear a tie to Topgolf, Dad.
Or to Din Tai Fung.
Backwards, because we already went there.
Yeah, it's confusing because we are
Okay.
recording this before Father's Day and it's getting released after Father's Day. So who even
But we
knows?
should go to Din Tai Fung.
Wibbly wobbly,
Wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey.
Father's Day.
10 points whoever can name where that came from.
Oh, that's an easy one.
No, not if you don't watch it. It's not.
All right.
I'm not
Doctor
telling
Who.
you.
Look, they had a chance. They either knew it when we said it or didn't. What were they going to email us the answer?
Yes.
All right. But so no
Anywho,
real
happy
Father's Day
Father's Day.
traditions for you?
Not that I can think of. Again, way to put me on the spot, because if there is one and I don't know about it, I'm now just in trouble.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Was there any traditions for you with your dad?
Thanks for putting me on the spot with this. Here's my list of 5.
Well, he doesn't listen.
Dude. Wow.
I'm just
That-
being honest.
Too far. No, not far enough, in my opinion. My dad's been gone for, I think, at least 15 years. So I think the statute of limitations has passed. You can make however many jokes you
You
want.
do, so.
That's true. That's true. Let me think. There's one thing that I remember, but I'm not exactly sure if it was on Father's Day, around Father's Day, or just something I associated with Farmer's Day.
Farmers. I want to hear about that later.
We cream corn.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Farmer's Day. That's awesome. I actually just saw, I was going to post it, but I didn't because I thought it was too personal in terms of information. But my bank emailed me and they were like, happy balance transfer day. I was like, really? Are we just making stuff up now?
Yeah, we are.
The banks are making up holidays. They're like, don't forget to transfer more money into somewhere. Like, that's so stupid. This was this week.
Transfer it.
Anyway, the one tradition
That's a cool move.
Thank you.
Kind of not. Actually, as I did it and watched myself on the screen, I was like, don't do that.
For those of you listening, too bad. You're never going to know what that was. Here's the deal. You know, right now, all the rage are these Renaissance fairs.
Yes, they're expensive, what I hear.
Yeah, where like ladies dress up in scantily clad outfits that would have never been worn in the Renaissance, but they do it anyway.
Yeah.
And dudes dress up like trolls.
Sure.
Look, maybe I haven't seen quite enough videos
I've been to a Renaissance
You have?
type fair-ish, but not really. Yeah, we did a field trip to something like that, which I'm sure wasn't exactly the same, but a field trip to something like that. We watched a play, but it was like you had like the whole thing to like walk through in high school.
Well, let me tell you what this is. And would you mind, as I explain it, will you look this up on your phone so I can be sure if this is correct or not?
Okay.
So we used to go to, we called it the Irish Fair, but it also may have been the Gaelic Fair, which is kind of 6 of one, half a dozen of another. But we would go, and of course, we are McGillicuddies through and through. My dad was Sean Patrick McGillicuddy. I'm Sean Patrick Daniel McGillicuddy. My sister is Megan Shea Barbara McGillicuddy, and our social security numbers are, I'm just kidding. But we are very, very Irish, except my mom, who is Susan, and she's wonderful, but not Irish, as far as I know. But we would go to these fairs, and they would do like ridiculous things. Like, not only would they sell things like a flea market, but they also did like, they would take essentially like telephone poles and they would like pick them up and try to flip them, like throw them up in the air and flip them. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
You ever seen anything like that?
No, but if you'd like to go to the Irish Fair, it's back.
It's back.
July 20th and 21st.
Okay, so that's
in
not quite
Torrance,
Father's
California.
Day. Yeah.
Living and promoting Irish and Irish American culture in the Southern California area. It's
Give
primary
me the highlights. What do they say? Like, you can expect this?
Primary goals to present and preserve our Irish culture by sponsoring events that will promote our Irish dance, music, theater, language, sports, and all other aspects of our heritage.
Wow.
I guess I have one in Burbank and the Rose Bowl.
I'm going to be real honest with you, though, Kel.
Those might be closer.
Here's the deal. I, because of life, struggle with any majority white population talking about having events to preserve their heritage and culture. It's weird for me now.
Yeah, I hear that, except that the Irish, I'm pretty sure when they came over initially to America, were like they were only sectioned off into certain sections, and they were treated as like the low.
Yeah, I mean, that's why, like, on the East Coast, they're like, whether it's New York or Boston, they have like, this is the Irish quarter, or this is the Italian quarter, or whatever. I mean, the Irish were definitely not looked upon favorably when they immigrated over.
No.
But when I heard you read it, like, preserving our heritage, they will not replace us, I was like, oh, I don't know. I'm proud of being Irish, but also I don't really Irish, care. Actually. We both. You were a Sweeney. Still are a Sweeney. Still are a Sweeney at heart. Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe we check it out. Maybe we don't. But anyway, I know that me and my sister and my dad went to quite a few of those. At least one, but I think quite a few of those as a Father's Day-ish tradition. Truth be told, if there was a Father's Day Sunday tradition with my dad, it was probably the same as every other Sunday of his life, which was drink beer, watch NASCAR, golf, baseball, football, or basketball. Pretty much anything except for soccer. He'd watch tennis too. So every Sunday was Father's Day to him, essentially. And that's how I feel about my life. I'm not really one for celebrating holidays.
Yep.
And Father's Day to me is just another day of obligations to fulfill for other people. Places and spaces that I have to be for some reason. And truly, every day is Father's Day when you have a kid like ours.
Every day is Father's Day.
Every day.
She's pretty great.
I kind of do mean that, though. Like, I get more time with my kid than
most.
Yeah, than most parents, period. But historically, probably even more so than, our parents got with us.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to say that I don't work as hard as that generation, but I don't. I work a lot less, so I'm home a lot more.
That's true.
Although I did just figure out I'm going to end up in Mexico for 3 days next week out of nowhere.
A surprise.
Yeah, I was like, this isn't happening, right? They're like, no, it is.
Whoops. Well.
All right. Very cool. Well, anyway, I put together a little show today that is
a little show.
Father's Day themed.
Father's Day themed.
You're going Cockney with it.
Well, you got to change it up sometimes.
Anyway.
I'm not Cockney anymore.
No, now you're Southern.
Yeah.
Now
like
you're
cowboy.
Australian. Oh my
A
gosh.
Southern cowboy. Okay, sorry.
Well, anyway, I want to kick it off with a little game that whether you're watching or listening, you can play along with. It's called Rad Dad Quiz.
Rad Dad Quiz.
Now, full disclosure, most of the time when we're playing games, I've either made the game or gone through the game, and it's basically Kelly playing the game.
But you haven't gone through this.
I have not, because
So it
it's
could
Father's
suck.
Day, and this is a dad
Do you
quiz.
want me to do it?
You think you can? You think
No.
you can do the slide? Okay.
I can try.
All right, let me read it. Instructions. Here, you can have it. Hang tight, though. Instructions from famous fathers to fatherly facts. What do you know about dear old dad? Take your best guesses. You want to read them?
Yeah. Which word does not translate to father in English? Pere, pada, vader, and far.
That first one, P-E-R-E.
Pere.
I don't know. I'm gonna say C, Vader.
I'm going to say far.
Although, because it sounds like Vader, like I am your father.
Yeah.
But maybe that's where they got it from. So I'm going with Vader.
I'm going with D, far.
And the answer, wow, we're
Wow.
both wrong. Paida, P-A-I-D-A.
What does it mean? Someone tell us.
Unfortunately,
We
we
don't
don't
know.
have that. Next
All right,
up.
next question. What's the first name of the cop TV dad from Family Matters?
I have no idea. Have you ever
Phil?
seen this show?
No. Al, Carl, or Steve? I'm
It's
going to
not
guess
Phil.
Carl.
It's not Phil, because that's Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, right? Al, Carl, or Steve.
I'm gonna
Family
guess
Matters.
Carl.
Which one was Family Matters? Was that Urkel?
I don't know. I think that's actually the show that Chip was on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure, but
Interesting. I'm going to go with, which one are you doing, Carl?
Carl.
That's my go-to
Carl.
like improv name. Carl. I'm going to go with Al.
okay. And the answer is Carl.
No! You're
I'm a
more of a
winner.
father
I'm a
than me.
winner. I'm a winner. Okay, number 3. In what year was the first ever Father's Day celebrated? A, 1910, B, 1922, C, 1929, or D, 1934. So the question really is, how early do you think they started celebrating Father's Day?
You know, I bet they started celebrating fathers before they started celebrating mothers.
Yeah, I'm going to say 1929.
I'm going 1910.
Or
1922. 1922.
Okay.
Final answer.
1910. You should have top dead.
I wonder when they started celebrating Mother's Day, though.
I don't know. It's not Mother's Day edition. You didn't do any games for me, so.
I did a lot for
Question 4. Generally, most boys learn to tie a tie from their dad at 10 to 12 years, 12 to 14 years, 14 to 16 years, or 16 to 18 years. I'm going to say 12 to 14 because that's a prime graduation.
Yeah, that's good. I was definitely young when I tied a tie for the first time. I actually had to do it for school. I was in one of those kind of schools.
Yeah, well, I was thinking like when you culminate from like
Yeah.
5th to 6th grade is like normally the time people start like wearing a
Yeah.
tie for some reason.
I think you're right with the 14 to 16. Is that what you said?
12 to 14.
Oh, then I'm going to go 14 to 16.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. See, like, you know, you have some relatives that get married. You're going to graduations and stuff.
I guess that's probably the closer time to graduating middle school because you would be 15-ish in high school. 15,
Yeah, I
16.
wasn't about to change your argument because
Yeah,
I wanted
whatever.
to win.
Well,
Next up,
number 5. What are those?
those are pants.
What job did famous 1970s TV dad Mike Brady do for a living? Oh,
So
from the
this is a
Brady
Brady
Bunch.
Bunch?
Was he a banker, an author, a salesman, or an architect?
There once was a man named Brady who has 16 kids of his own.
I think he's an architect.
He's an architect, most likely. I don't know. Have you ever seen the Brady Bunch?
I have seen the Brady Bunch.
Really?
Martha. Marsha. Not
You really
Marsha.
are.
No, I have seen it. It's weird. At some point in time, I don't know why, but I did watch a couple of episodes, maybe even a season of the Brady Bunch.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but this was a long time ago.
Sounds like a homesick with the flu or
Probably.
summer or something. I've never seen an episode of the Brady Bunch.
I want to say an architect, but I don't truly. Who knows? But they had a nice house and they had a lot of kids. So
Well, you know,
And I don't
it's
think he was-
because two families came together, Cal. I don't know if you know the premise of
I
the
do.
show. There's a lot of kids because there was a lovely lady and a man named Brady.
I know.
No adjective needed for dad. Okay, what would someone in the 70s do?
Yeah, I
A
know.
banker, an author? I don't think it's author.
Salesman.
It's very generic.
Yeah. So it was either going to be a banker or an architect for me. It's one or the other.
Could be architect. Did they have one of those houses with the big staircase that goes upstairs?
I think it's an architect because of the place they lived in. That's why I keep saying that, but I don't know.
Okay. That's
For
what
all
I
of
was
you
thinking.
yelling at the screen, let's find out.
All right, let's do it. I didn't even. You're right.
I was right.
I think I was going to go with banker, to be honest.
Yeah, it was one of the two.
Yeah.
But the architect sounded right because I feel like he would have made their house.
You think so?
Yeah. And they did
He's
have
like,
one.
I can just add on room for these other children.
Yeah.
I'm an architect.
Question number 6. Which country celebrates Father's Day in December? Is it Mexico, Thailand, France, or Russia?
Say that. Second one again?
Russia. Thailand. Thailand.
He's
Thailand.
Thailand.
Land.
Thank you.
I keep saying
Father's
Thailand.
Day in December. So that's going to be the same time as, Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa.
I'm going to say Thailand.
Let's see. Who doesn't care about their dads and would be like, let's bundle them into the Christmas holiday? You know what that's like, right? You're born in December. You get bundled into
what that's
Christmas.
like.
Who?
Birthmas is what people call
Father's Day in December. I think it's going to be, I'm going with Russia.
Thailand.
Thailand.
Baby.
Dang it.
I got it right. I don't know why, but I got it right.
Dang. All right. Next up, we got a couple more.
Question 7. Name the dad who ran a San Francisco Full House. Was it Steve Keaton, Ward Cleaver, Al Bundy, or Danny Tanner?
So you know this one.
I know the answer.
I know it's not Al Bundy. That's Married with Children. I don't know Steve Keaton or Ward Cleaver. I'm assuming Ward is probably Leave It to Beaver. I'm gonna go with Danny Tanner.
Then you would be correct.
Yeah, baby. I had
Rest
heard
in
that
peace.
name before. He died. Oh, Bob Saget.
Bob Saget died. Yeah.
Got it. I'm just not familiar with this age of television. I
guess
didn't watch
not.
any of it.
You didn't watch Full House?
No, I was watching cartoons,
You
baby.
got it, dude.
Oh, may they rest in peace.
They're still alive.
Yeah, but their careers aren't. Let's move on.
They're fashion people.
I know, and they have more money than anybody. It's nuts.
I know. Number 8. Who was the first father to appear on a U.S. coin? Was it Washington, Jefferson, Adams, or Lincoln?
Look, all these dudes
I don't
had
know.
babies, except I don't know if Lincoln had any kids. But like Thomas Jefferson was like sleeping with his servants and stuff. He was a man
married
about
to
town. Sally Fields?
No. Yeah, I don't think it was Lincoln on a coin.
Well, Lincoln is on a coin, but I don't know that he's a father. And what are these? The founding
the founding
fathers?
father, yeah.
Oh, I thought we were literally talking about dads.
No. First founding father to appear. It doesn't say founding, but I'm my assumption because they're all founding fathers.
I have an embarrassing thing to admit to you.
Yeah.
I don't know who's on Mount Rushmore. Or is it these 4 guys?
No, I don't think so. I have some of them.
Washington, yes.
Jefferson, Thomas Jefferson.
Lincoln's got to be on there, right?
I don't know.
Who's the Ringo Starr of Mount Rushmore? Like, who's the 4th Beatle?
I feel like it's. Let's see. I was going to say Alexander Hamilton.
No way. He only came into vogue 5 years ago because of Lin-Manuel Miranda.
But he's the guy that created our financial system. So he didn't just come and...
Look, we all saw the play. I
was going to say, I think Theodore Roosevelt's on the Mount Rushmore, and he is.
He is?
Yeah, so it was made...
So who is it? Who's on there?
I gotta give me a second. George Washington.
Just look at the picture of it.
You think I know who they are by looking at their faces?
This podcast is really
So
showing our
George
ignorance.
Washington, because he was the first president.
George
Thomas
Washington.
Jefferson was the 3rd president. Theodore Roosevelt, the 26th president, and Abraham Lincoln, the 16th president.
In that order?
That's who's on there in that order.
That seems weird. Does it say when it was built or chiseled out of rock? Because that also tells me there's a big gap between presidents where there just was no one worth putting on a mountain. From Lincoln to who was
construction started in October 4th of 1927.
1927.
It took 14 years.
Dude, that's way older than I thought. I thought it was gonna be like the 60s or 70s.
27. No, yeah.
Dang. All right. Well, back to the question.
Who was the first founding father to appear on a U.S. coin? Was it Washington, Jefferson, Adams, or Lincoln? Is Adams even on a coin? Oh, how stupid am I? He's on a dollar bill.
I know we really should screen these games before we play. Okay, I don't know.
I'm learning.
I'm
Hopefully
gonna
you guys
go
are
with
too.
Lincoln.
I'm going to go with Washington.
Yeah,
Dang.
baby, it's Lincoln.
Wow.
That is so 4 score and 7 years ago.
Goes to show that if you get assassinated, you show up on things sooner than if you just die naturally.
Is that the takeaway? That's the takeaway.
Washington was the founder of our country. Was the greatest president we ever had. Jefferson came from France and helped to really continue to build America. Adams was also obviously a president. I think he was in between those two and kind of boring. But Lincoln was the only one that was murdered. Assassinated. Assassinated.
All right. Hit me with number 9 and let's get to it.
What job did Kyle Chandler play as a TV dad who wore a headset? Who is that?
Who's Kyle Chandler?
Was he...
I assumed...
What job did Kyle Chandler play as a TV dad who wore a headset? Was he NASCAR, streamer, football, air traffic control? I'm going to say NASCAR.
I'm going to say air traffic control. Hit me with it. Football.
Who's Kyle Chandler?
I don't know. I assumed Friends, but he's not a...
No. His first name is Chandler. His second... Chandler Bing.
Again, I have never really watched Friends.
10.
Almost there. We got a tiebreaker just in case we needed it.
And you heard him right. He said he's never watched Friends. This guy.
I didn't say I've never watched, never seen it, but I couldn't tell you anything about it. I've seen, unfortunately, some episodes because of you.
Yeah. Whatever. It's great. I love the show.
It's not good.
What's the most popular Father's Day gift to give in Japan?
A tie. We already talked about this.
Chocolate?
Because you gave your dad a tie from Japan.
This is in Japan.
Yeah, I assume they have a lot of Father's Day ties.
I'm going to say a phone.
Okay, wait. Chocolate, phone, tie, or jewelry. I'm going to... It can't be chocolate. It's not a phone.
A tie is like a top one for me, but since you're going with tie, I'm going to go with jewelry.
Oh, well, I didn't know I was going with tie.
Are you not gonna go with...
Sure, I'll go with tie. You go with jewelry. It's chocolate.
Chocolate. I remember when they invented chocolate.
That's great for anyone who watched SpongeBob growing up.
Is there a tiebreaker? Get it? But
Oh, they're cutting a tie.
On Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, how many times did the dad, Uncle Phil, throw Jazz out the door? Oh my gosh, 11 plus times.
11 plus times.
It was every time.
Every time. That was the whole bit. Do you know I met DJ Jazzy Jeff?
Did you really?
He nice? DJ'd at the DJ Collective. A lot of DJs in those sentences. But yeah, he's a legit DJ.
Is he really?
Like a scratch DJ is really good.
Is he nice?
Yeah, he was fine. Kind of knew who he was. He knew who he was, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, he is Jazzy Jazz.
He's been thrown out of the house over 11 times.
May Uncle Phil rest in peace.
R.I.P. I met him as well
before he died.
No, after, oddly enough. Yes, before he died. Anyway, so that's all for our game. But I do, continuing in the Father's Day, you can click it again and just make sure. Yeah, we good. We out of here.
We out.
Continuing with the Father's Day theme. I have some Father's Day stories, which were harder to find than you might think.
Yeah, I would have assumed that it'd be harder to find because how many stories are there about dads? Am I right?
Yeah.
Am I right?
Well, I'll tell you, most of the stories that have the word dad in it.
I'm very weird. Okay, sorry.
I love your weirdness.
Thanks,
most of the stories that have the word dad in it are not
dad
good stories.
Kills.
Exactly. Yes.
Goes
on a rampage. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I found some. And the first one, unlike most stories on our show, this one's a little bit heartfelt.
Aww.
It's a little heartfelt. So this one's called Bride Asks Man with Father's Heart to Walk Her Down the Aisle on Wedding Day.
Aww.
Now, this is an older story from 2016 because, like I said, it's hard to find these stories.
That's sad.
No, it's actually really sweet. So this woman, Jenny from Pennsylvania, waited 10 years for this day. On the eve of her wedding, Jenny met for the first time the man who now lives with her father's heart.
Oh,
isn't that sweet? So essentially, her father passed away, which I won't get into the details of. Trigger warning, skipping over it. He passed away and donated his organs, and one of the organs was the heart, which he donated to this man who I think his name is Arthur. Yeah, Arthur Thomas. And they kept in touch over the years, even though they had never met or anything. But then essentially, she sent him a message or wrote him a letter or something like that. Yeah, Jenny wrote a letter. This is the guy talking. Jenny wrote me a letter, and she said, Tom, I'm the daughter of the man whose heart's inside you, and I'm going to get married on August 16th. One further thing, if you're willing, would you walk me down the aisle? And she said, or he said rather, he checked with his daughter, and she said it was okay. And he said, the first person I'll be walking down the aisle will be Jenny on her wedding day. Pretty cute, right? There's other stuff I skipped over here, but it's been cute. They said, we've been talking to him and writing letters and calling, receiving flowers and sending gifts for the past 10 years. And now the day is finally here. Jenny said, just hugging him made me feel like I was close to my dad again, which on this day was perfect. It was what I needed, added Jenny's sister, Michelle. Anyway, she was like, it was the best thing. Are you going to cry?
No.
You look like you're going to cry.
I was teary-eyed, but
it's a really sweet thing, though.
Yeah.
In the photo here, which I'll just show you. Well, maybe I won't because it's not here anymore. But the photo on here is just her and the guy, meeting. And she's just got her hand on his heart. And it's like, wow, what a cool little thing.
Yeah.
A cool little
I like stories like that.
Oh, but see, I can't chalk the show full of those stories because you just sit there quietly trying not to cry.
It's so sweet.
It is sweet. But I've got one that's not so sweet now.
Oh, God.
It's actually one of my favorite stories. Maybe my favorite story of the week. Dad infected with parasites after wreaking revenge on a crab for pinching his daughter. This is a really weird...
Did he eat it?
Yes. How did you know?
Because that's how I assumed he would get a parasite. He's like, you hurt my daughter, I'll kill you, eat you, sucker, or boil you alive.
Yep.
That's how you kill crustaceans for some reason. That's how you cook them.
Yeah, which there was almost an unpopular opinion that I put in here that was like seafood is trash and there's no reason it should ever be eaten.
Yes.
And I agree with that. I don't know who the first person was like, see this rock hard crab or lobster that has pinchers and is really fast? I'm going to try to kill it and eat it.
Well, I would say crab is actually a seafood item that I enjoy. Probably because you dip it in butter.
Crab or lobster?
Both, but crab.
Like crab cakes?
No, I've never had a crab cake.
The better question is, explain to me the way that you eat crab. For you, what do you mean you like it?
I've
and
had
you dip it in butter.
Crab when you either you take the meat out of like the legs, and you dip it in butter. And
you were doing a claw motion.
Or their claw. That's their leg. Claw. Claw, leg.
I don't know if it's a leg as much as it's an arm, but go ahead.
An arm, whatever, doesn't matter. But you like eat the meat and you dip it in butter and you eat it.
Is that? I thought that was lobsters.
I think it's
both. So you would eat lobster then?
Probably, but I mean, I haven't had it in a really long time, so who actually knows?
Girl, then I have a sushi roll that you're gonna like because it has imitation crab, which is not real crab, and then probably lobster that's likely langostino, like that one of those first stories we did in season 1 about Red Lobster serving langostino and not crab or not lobster.
Yeah.
So if you like those two things,
I just don't like seaweed.
But we can get it in soy paper.
I know. I'm willing to try this year. When our life isn't as full of anxiety as it is.
It's called crunch roll. So it's all those things I described, and they put like, I don't know how to describe it. It's kind of like they shave, like finely shaved potato slices that they deep fry. So it's kind of like a crispy onion straw, but with no onion in it.
I'm so excited about this.
It's so good. And then they put what's called eel sauce on it, which is not made from eel. I suppose they just use it on eel dishes. It's just like a sweet, almost teriyaki-like sauce.
Okay.
It's really good.
Hey, your mom also showed me some shrimp tacos the other day that I was like, that might be good.
You can eat shrimp.
I can eat shrimp.
Did you have the coconut shrimp that Ashley made the other day? Did you try one of those at Finney's?
Yeah.
You had them?
I did have one.
Did you like it?
It was okay.
It wasn't the best coconut shrimp I'd ever eaten.
Okay.
Although that's my favorite thing. If there's ever coconut shrimp at a wedding, it just got like way better because now it transitioned from being a wedding to a competition to see how much coconut shrimp I can eat. And I think 9 is the answer.
You dip it in the sweet spot sauce. Right?
In the sweet spot.
The sweet spot sauce. The sweet sauce.
I don't know. Is it a sweet sauce? I think so. Maybe
Sweet
it could be a
sauce.
marinara.
It kind of reminds me of that
sauce?
would be different type of that would be a
Mozzarella
shrimp
sticks.
cocktail.
Oh, yep. That's what I'm thinking of.
That's not a coconut. Coconut shrimp is normally dipped in like a sweet sauce. It kind of reminds me of the sweet and spicy like ketchup sauce we used to get all the time.
At Red Robin.
Yeah.
Yum.
It doesn't exist anymore, but not Red Robin, but the sauce.
Although
but
let's face it, Red Robin too, probably not for long.
Yeah, we should use our gift cards.
Yeah, we should.
Learning a lot about us. But yeah, it's kind of that type of stuff. Anyways, so yeah, maybe I am starting to like seafood. Probably not.
No, you got a very limited menu, and that's okay with me. But back to our crab story.
Sorry, yes.
Here's what it says. A father in China was hospitalized after eating a whole live crab for, quote, revenge.
He ate it alive?
Yes, it's nuts. After the crustacean nipped his young daughter beside a stream. 2 months after the 39-year-old swallowed the crab, he visited the hospital with back pain. That seems odd. Tests found changes to his chest, abdomen, liver, and digestive system, though the source of the issue was unknown. Apparently, there's a director of this sort of thing. The director of the digestive system department at Sir Run Shaw Hospital, I'm sure I said that right, told the local media that he asked him, have you eaten anything strange lately that you might have an allergy to? Then this guy's wife was like, I seem to recall one time my husband got angry at a crab, killed it, and ate it raw.
And you shouldn't do that.
Well, she called it a crab incident and that he had eaten, quote, something special. I asked why. Why did you eat the live crab? He said, I wanted to take revenge for my daughter. He said, when we were by a stream, my daughter was pinched by a small crab, so I got angry and put it into my mouth for revenge. Here we go. This is the kicker. Blood tests later found that he had been infected by at least 3 different parasites.
Yeah, dude.
Understood to have been caused by eating the crab. He was treated. He's fine. Still goes into for checkups. But stop eating.
Why are people
stupid
being
stuff.
dumb?
And why is this person's solution like that crab nipped at my daughter? First of all, you're in the crab's neck of the woods.
Number one, yeah. So just throw it away. Throw it into the water.
Throw it in the water.
If you're really mad, kill it.
Kill it. I mean, don't. But if you're going to do that, don't kill it and then eat it.
Yeah, if it's gonna hurt if it's hurting your daughter, then hit it or get it away. But like, don't eat it.
Isn't that nuts?
It's insane.
And he freaking paid for it.
Yeah,
this is why the bats all over again.
I know. Don't give me COVID or whatever we're gonna call it.
Don't eat. First of all, don't eat raw stuff, right?
I mean, you can eat some raw stuff. Just talked about sushi.
Totally. Sushi when it's prepared for you.
I know. I'm just saying. But don't eat raw things on your own.
Plus, I know this about lobster, so I assume about a crab. They're essentially parasites. They're bottom feeders.
Yeah, they are.
They eat like the leftover.
Yeah.
It's like eating a cockroach.
Gross.
Which I wouldn't eat a raw cockroach.
You had to.
It's like a Fear Factor thing. Didn't they have to do that on Fear Factor?
I don't know. I will never do Fear Factor, nor do I want to be a part of it.
No, me either. Anyway, that was my favorite story of the week. And I have one more dad story before we transition to unpopular opinions. This one's not so much a story. It is, but it was just funny to me. North Korea makes wild claim that Kim Jong-un's dad invented burritos.
No,
definitely not.
Definitely not you.
North Korea has bizarrely claimed that Kim Jong-un's dad invented burritos in 2011.
Well, that's going to be a little bit hard since I think Chipotle was definitely started before 2011.
And we all know that Chipotle invented burritos.
No, I'm just saying.
Yeah. And it says, despite food shortage sales, the dish was booming. It says the regime's propaganda. There's a lot of it's written pretty bad. So I'm going to skip through a bit of it. They say that this person dreamed up, Kim Jong-il, not Un, but Il, dreamed up a Tex-Mex dish back in 2011, shortly before his death from a massive heart attack. Maybe from the burritos. Who knows? The wild claim follows an equally batty propaganda story that alleged Jong II invented a dish called double bread with meat, which was uncannily like a hamburger. So he also invented hamburgers.
He didn't.
The burritos, meanwhile, were called wheat wraps. And blah, blah, blah goes on and on to say how popular it is. I did look it up.
It is very popular everywhere.
Since 2011.
No.
Well, here's what I found, because I was like, when did the burrito get invented? And who knows? But I did find the first known culinary reference to the burrito is in a 1895 edition of Diccionario de Mexicanismos, which defined it as, quote, a rolled tortilla with meat or other thing inside.
Yeah, that's a burrito.
It's a pretty broad definition.
Yeah, or other things.
But yeah, so he did invent it about 130 years later.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just thought that was an awesome thing.
That's ridiculous. That's crazy.
Now,
crazy talk.
It is crazy talk, but also we should get a burrito after this.
That sounds good, huh?
Doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But
I eat Chipotle. It's fine.
Can I say that on
I like
on the
Chipotle,
air?
just not all the time.
I do like Chipotle a lot.
We can go. It's fine.
Yes. All right. That's all. Hardly working. Bye.
Give me some unpopular opinions.
All right.
Weirdo.
So here's the deal. There really weren't any unpopular opinions in regards to Father's Day.
It doesn't have to all be Father's Day.
I just chose to add the word Father's Day or on Father's Day to all the unpopular opinions.
Okay.
All right. First one. Let me try that again. First one. You shouldn't be allowed to receive organs from dead people if you're not willing to donate your own on Father's Day.
I'm going to take the on Father's Day part of it out.
Fine. There goes the theme.
Excuse me. That was a big burp. Sorry, everybody.
Anyway, I never thought about this, but, you know, if you are not an organ donor, is it fair to take someone's organs if you need them?
Yes, because if you're an organ donor, I may be stupid and wrong, but if you're an organ donor, normally that means that they will not resuscitate you.
Mm-hmm. Look, I have heard that for sure. If they check your driver's license and they're like, they're a donor, it's been said that they won't try as hard. But I don't think that's true.
I'm no longer a donor because, God, I just gave up all my cards because of that. Because I do want to be, for now, I'd like to be resuscitated. I got a lot to live for.
I'm going to do this off camera. I don't want anyone seeing my
So that
stuff.
would mean that, I should be able to have your organs because I want to live.
You're like, I don't want to be the donor. I want to be the donee.
Yeah.
The recipient
I'm
of
just
the
saying.
organs.
But all of you out there that are donors, are you a donor?
I don't know.
It's on your license.
Then I don't think so. I think I have. Isn't it like a little circle usually on there?
Yeah. Let me see. I'll tell you.
I think you made me take it off one time. You're like, you have too much to live for now.
I was a donor and I took it off this last time that I redid my thing because it made me nervous.
So your logic is if you're not willing to give, you should not be able to receive. That's what you're saying.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you should be able.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I had it backwards.
You're not. Yeah.
If you're not willing to give your organs, it shouldn't matter.
Here's the deal. If someone wants to convince me why I should be an organ donor, we can talk about it. But I would like to be resuscitated, at least for now.
Well, let's digress a second here. Would you be willing to give Brooklyn a non-vital organ if she needed it?
Yeah.
If you were a match for like a kidney.
Yeah, I wouldn't be, but yeah, I would.
Would you be willing to give me your liver?
If it's a non-vital organ, yes.
Did you know that the liver grows back?
I was going to say, isn't the liver the one that grows back?
Yeah, I think you can give up to like 60% of your liver
but
and it will grow back. Only once. Isn't that weird? Mm-hmm. Only one time. Mm-hmm. Did we like read the same thing? How do we know that?
I don't know.
I feel like it was a half-hour happy hour story at some point.
I don't know. It's out there. Maybe on Bones. Who knows? I don't know.
Would you give a non-vital organ to your brothers?
Oh, yes.
Your parents?
Yeah.
Your friends?
Depends on who it is.
Let's name them.
No.
I think I would, of course, for Brooklyn and for you.
Yeah,
I would.
it's a hefty recovery time. That's what I know, because it's a major surgery where you're losing a piece or a whole organ that you then your body has to figure out how to do.
Why is it that our bodies can like regrow a liver, but not like a finger?
I don't know.
Why is it? I heard this said somewhere, so it's not me coming up with it. Why is it that like at least your body has all of the information it needs to grow an entire human being?
Except for one
piece.
Yeah,
I can help with one piece.
But it can't grow other pieces.
It can't regrow an ear or something on your own body.
I don't know.
It's like, no, we don't really know.
I don't know. Maybe if I had the other piece, it would.
If you just like mixed the egg and the sperm together and like put it on your ear hole.
Gross. But yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's like, bam, or a whole baby grows from the side of your head. I'm not a doctor. None of this is medical advice.
No, none of it. Absolutely none. Truly none of it.
None of it.
Anywho, would you donate?
Yeah.
To me?
Yeah.
To Brooklyn?
Listen, I need the two of you around for a long time.
To your mom?
Yeah.
To your sister?
Yeah.
To my mom and dad?
Maybe.
To my brothers?
Well, first of all, they have 3 kids.
That's true.
And it's not that like I wouldn't.
But
I should be at least
match, but
like,
you were.
at the highest. I'm number 4 on the list, right?
Yeah.
I've got to be number 4.
Yeah, but
at highest,
not if you're the only match. Then you're number 1.
Number 1, baby. Depends
your
on the
friends?
organ.
Shall we name them?
I don't have any friends, so go ahead and name them. There's no one.
Corey Live.
I have no friends.
Randy.
No friends. I would give my life for Corey Live. I would lay it down. Like Jesus did for the sake of humanity, I'd do that for Corey Live.
That's good. What about Randy and Simone?
Nah, not so much. No, I love Randy and Simone. Look, I don't. If we branched in all seriousness, if we branched into the friend category, she might give you a kidney. But I don't. It just depend on what it is.
Yeah,
what organ, what circumstance,
how it's going to affect me. Because if you give part of your liver, you can't drink for a long time.
I guess I'm out.
I'm just saying.
I think it's like a whole year.
It's a long time.
Which I guess isn't that long. Most people could probably not drink for a year.
Yeah, we should try it. See how far we get.
I always take at least like 2 months throughout the year off.
Yeah, of course.
Like nothing. And it's not like I drink a lot now, but I'm always like, let's just make sure we're good.
Yeah.
That's just a little fun dad fact about me and us.
Anywho.
All right.
Donating, donors, hey.
So I think we definitely didn't solve that one. Next one. Eating out at a restaurant is not an enjoyable experience anymore.
It depends on what restaurant. Din Tai Fung, always enjoyable. 100% enjoyable every single time.
Yeah, I think though, those mid-range places, and I don't mean that in any type of disparaging way, but I mean like those Red Robins of
places.
The world.
Well, they're all going away. Red Lobster's going away. Chili's going away. It's all going away.
But that's what I'm saying is like, it's kind of the basic, the base level sit down restaurant.
Yeah, what used to be like the place that was affordable for you to take your family, it's now like more expensive and not as good as like the other place you go that's expensive. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean everything is expensive.
Here's the deal: happy hour, always the best time.
Yeah. Oh, that's where we won't have time.
I know.
That would have been fun.
We still could. We could.
I don't think we have time.
It ends at 6.
Look, guys, we'll see. We'll save our personal plans for after the show.
Yeah, we will.
We're just hungry, is what it is.
Yeah,
we're just hungry.
I'm hungry.
But yeah, I don't think it's fun. There's been hardly any allure to me since 2020 to really go out and eat places. I've gotten so accustomed to either making food at home, picking food up, or door dashing things on the road.
But there are certain places that I will go eat. Like I said, I will go to Din Tai Fung. You could just say it. I'd be like, yes, I'm there. Because
of course.
I do love it.
Yeah.
And you and I like to go on date nights every now and then to places.
We love going on date nights. It's been different lately because we've been together all the time. And
what are you trying to say?
That we date each other every day of our life. And it never ends.
Stuck with me forever.
Because what's the difference between a date and not a date? If we're going to eat food and we don't call it a date, is it a date? I think it's just about what you call it. That's another unpopular opinion for later. Yeah, what the heck is a date? What's a date? That's a hardly working through it. Yeah, you know what? I want to mention that too right now. I know we haven't done a hardly working through it in quite some time. And I think it's just because there's been a lot of stress, not just stress, but also just some hard things in our life, in the lives of people around us, that to think about going into a hardly working through it, which tends to be some of the heavier stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
We just haven't been drawn to that as much. And I love doing the hardly working shows, but I also love doing hardly working through it because we can actually deep dive into stuff. I just feel like, to continue the metaphor of deep diving, our margin has been a bit shallow for deep dives lately.
Yes.
So I anticipate getting back to hardly working through it soon, but something about having some lighthearted fun rather than digging deep into baggage or relationship stuff or challenging things. That's kind of the tactic we've been taking lately, but we'll get back to it.
But we are doing that in our personal lives with each of our therapists as we break down different things like boundaries for me. And
hey, would you mind if we just pause Unpopular Opinions for a second, since we haven't done a hardly working through it? We really haven't talked about very much about how each of us is back in therapy right now. Do you mind if we just kind of talk about it a little bit?
We don't even have to get back to Unpopular Opinions. We can just talk about this.
But there's one more I want to do. We'll see if we get to it. Yeah, let's talk about that for a second. I got back into therapy because my anxiety has been, over the last 2.5 years, just astronomically high. And it's gotten a lot better lately, but I'm starting to learn what's triggering it, what it's connected to, all that kind of stuff. I wouldn't say that I've learned how to cope with it. I was in a season where it was just like, it felt like I was drowning all the time. It was like, I really was like, I don't know that this ever gets better.
It's getting better.
It is getting better, which is great. Just like my mom told me as a kid, like, the world keeps turning. This too shall pass. Yep. But sometimes when you're in it, you're like, I don't see a way out of it.
Yeah.
So I got into therapy and it's been good. I've got a nice therapist that I really enjoy, Monica, and she's been great. But I kind of wanted to talk about that a little bit because that is a big part of our life, and part of the reason we wanted to do some of these shows is talk about I don't think we're like trying to destigmatize therapy, but if there's anyone out there who's on the fence about that stuff, like, if you can get into some therapy, you'd probably benefit from some therapy,
I agree with that.
What about you 100%. And your therapist?
I love my therapist. Her name is Trisha.
She's
Trisha's
great.
My friend.
Trisha's not your new therapist though,
since 2021.
Something like that,
2021. 2022? 2021. I don't know. A long time. And I took a break and now I'm back and I love it. She's just so great. I don't know how to say that. We'd be friends. I feel like we'd be friends if she wasn't my therapist.
Yeah.
Anywho.
That's how I feel about my therapist too, but that's because I'm always just trying to convince people that I'm good enough to be liked.
Yeah, but I think I am liked, and she knows that.
Good for you.
I like her.
I love your confidence.
A lot. But yeah, I'm working on boundaries.
How so?
Well, I'm reading a book that I can't remember the name of right now, but it's Boundaries.
It might be called Boundaries.
Peace. Yeah, but it's like boundaries and then a ton of other stuff.
Yeah, not the boundaries
Not the
book that
Christian
most
boundaries book that
people
most
have
people-
heard of. Yeah.
I can tell you because I bought it on Amazon. Actually, it's in my Audible.
It's in her Audible, so everybody listen up.
There's a workbook too, which I work really well with. Set Boundaries, Find Peace, A Guide to Reclaiming Yourself by Nidra Glover Tawwab. I probably murdered that.
Unalived it. Yeah.
But Set Boundaries, Find Peace. And there's a workbook you can do as well.
So why did she recommend that book for you?
Because I have problems setting boundaries. I'm a people pleaser by nature. I'm a helper. I like to help. I feel guilty when I say no or when I can't do something. And I just needed
Permission?
yeah, I think I need tools and permission to be able to set boundaries.
Yeah.
And I'm learning that some things that I thought were healthy boundaries are not so healthy, which is great.
What do you mean? Can you give an example?
Oh, you're really diving into this.
Well, we haven't talked about it that much either. I mean,
that's true.
I kind of know the top level, the high level of what you're working through.
Yeah, no, I mean, we talked about it a little bit yesterday. And like the very first part of the book talks about a breakdown of the different types of boundaries. Like you can have healthy boundaries, porous boundaries, or rigid boundaries.
Right.
I tend to fall on the more porous side, which is like have trouble saying no. You're a people pleaser. Like you're always going to go do something and maybe you're stretching yourself outside of like the actual time that you have. You're like adding more things if you don't have the time. You'll take care of everyone else before you take care of you. I tend to fall on that side. So sometimes I believe that when I like say no or when I like
set a boundary.
Yeah, I've always thought like, oh, that's good. But setting boundaries is good. But I just thought the types of boundaries I'm setting are good. But I'm learning that maybe they're just more rigid and not necessarily appropriate.
Well,
which is like avoiding people or cutting people off or
this is gonna be really awkward
no.
now for what I'm gonna say because you described me as having rigid boundaries when we were talking about it
I do
yesterday.
think you have rigid boundaries
versus because I identify more as having porous boundaries like you described.
Sometimes.
But I do see what you're saying. Well, I don't know. I was gonna say I don't feel like I cut people off and out of my life, but if you looked at the amount of people in my life, it would kind of support that.
You're just the type of person that like they're not listening to the show. It doesn't matter. You're the type of person that like if somebody reaches out to you out of the blue that you haven't talked with in a couple of years, you do not feel. I feel the need to be like, oh, I should respond to them and be like, hey, how are you? And then feel this awkward, like guilty, like I don't know really how to communicate with you because like we haven't talked in 5 years and like we have nothing in common. And now you're reaching out to me. Why? Are you trying to sell me Arbonne? Are you trying to like what are you
usually
trying to do?
It's that, yeah.
But you know what I mean?
Right.
Like. So I feel the desire and the need to be like, I make sure everyone's okay and they know like I'm not mad at them. Where you are the complete opposite. If someone reaches out to you that hasn't reached out to you in like years, you like won't text them back for days. Sometimes longer than that. And to the point where in the past I've been like, you have to like respond to this person. It could be on Instagram. It could be a text message. You'll just either leave it on read or be like, I don't need to respond to this person, which I think pieces of that are probably healthy. And my, like, you should respond to them is not. And at the same time, I'm like, there's probably a healthy way to be like, hey, like, it's not what I'm going to say right now, but to say like, hey, haven't talked to you in 5 years. Like, why are you reaching out now?
Yeah. It's,
you know what I mean? I don't really know the healthy way to do that, but.
Me either. I think, see if I can get both of these here. The way I feel about high school reunions kind of seems similar to how you're describing my life, which is like, I don't understand why you'd go to a high school reunion, especially right now with Instagram and Facebook and stuff. Like if you wanted to keep up with somebody, you did, or you have, or you could.
Yeah.
You don't need to go back to a reunion to see the people that you haven't kept up with.
Yeah.
So that's part of it. And then also, I relate a lot to what you were saying earlier about someone reaching out to you and you're like, what are you're going to like try to get me to join your Arbonne team or whatever?
Yeah.
And not that there's anything wrong with that, but that's often, I guess there's 3 pieces to this. This is the second one. That's often how I feel when I get a text out of the blue from somebody is like, why is this person texting me? What is it that they want from me? Because they haven't said anything to me in a decade or whatever.
Yeah. It's like the unspoken expectation that we knew each other once. And so like, you can do me this favor now.
Yeah. And I get a little worried about it too sometimes because of like what I do.
Yeah, for sure.
That people are reaching out because of that stuff.
I've
but
thought
the
about that too.
third thing is, I think that part of why I have a different type of boundary or why I struggle to respond is all of those things that I said. But also, I think like a pendulum, I've swung really far that way because when I stopped doing ministry and being a pastor, I was very far the other way. Anytime someone would text me, anytime someone would give me that terrible text of, hey, you want to get coffee? Do you have time to grab coffee this week?
I hate it.
It's terrible. Don't do that to people. Anytime they would.
Well, ask them to coffee, but like,
but
not with the additional stress of like, because we're going to talk about something deep.
Yeah, because I just need you to know.
You're in trouble.
I need you to know that I can't be your friend.
Yeah, you're in trouble. I need you to know that I don't approve of your relationship.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for
been married for 5 years now. Thank you so much.
Maybe just don't say anything at all.
Yeah, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. Or if
but
you have
I
no
need
place
you to
in
know
your
that
life.
I don't approve.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm saying it. Like, good for you. But anyway, I was so far one direction. Shout out to Harry Styles. One direction that I was saying yes to everything that I think it likely pushed me the other direction to be like, forget that. And now I will be the first to tell you, I don't really have healthy relationships in the friendship arena. I do have some friends, but it's not something I seek out. I'm never like, it'd be great, me and so going out. I did have a couple of those friends, but they left.
You still have some.
Yeah, it's true. But I don't have healthy relationships or boundaries in that sense.
Yeah, I know.
And plus,
I mean, probably am too.
Yeah, and this is, I understand how stupid it is to hear this out loud, but like, the friendship that you and I have is my favorite relationship. Honestly, it's like, having a sleepover with your best friend every night.
Great.
And I wouldn't trade that for anything. So chances are when I am at home with the little time that I do have, I'm wanting to spend it with you
for sure.
rather than with other people. But anyway, you were saying that your boundaries are more porous. My boundaries are more rigid, but I'm interested.
Yeah.
What is it that has made you realize that you have porous boundaries? Is it work life boundaries? Is it friendships? Is it, always feeling like you have to say yes to friends or obligations or even family expectations? And I know a lot of your family listens to this. What I mean is like, hey, it's Father's Day. Kelly's probably going to figure it out. That kind of stuff. What do you mean by porous boundaries for you?
It's like a lot of different questions you asked me. So let me see.
Know.
I mean, it's like one, but it's like it's a bunch of stuff. I think as I get older and I feel a certain way, like I realize that the only responsibility that I have is to you and to Brooklyn.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, yeah, to your parents too and stuff.
Yeah, like into my family.
Yeah.
But like, while I've dwindled down my friend group to be much smaller than it has been in the past, which I'm not necessarily mad about. I like the friends that I have now. Mm-hmm. Not that I didn't like the friends that I had before, but like I know them and we actually get time, and I think that's great. I think because I'm a people pleaser and because actually, I was talking about this with my therapist. I don't know what made me realize this. She's the one who suggested that I read this boundaries book after whatever we were talking about a couple of weeks ago, which is great. But I think there's just been a couple of incidents, and then I'll get back to what I was saying.
Yeah.
A couple of incidents, like he's going to listen to this and he's going to feel bad about it. He doesn't even know. But my brother asked me if I could hang out a couple of weeks ago. Do you remember this?
Mm-hmm.
He was like, hey, I just happen to be off tomorrow. Like, you want to grab breakfast? And I remember talking about it with you and was like, I really want to make it happen, but I don't think I have the time and I don't think I can. Ultimately, I ended up saying no and then cried because I felt like I was letting him down. And I felt like I don't know. I just felt so bad. And he was like, it's not a big deal. Like, it was kind of last minute. We'll plan something else. And it wasn't a big deal. But like the story I make up in my head, which you know about me, is always worse than the reality. To which my therapist told me, like, something that really helped me was like, what's the evidence that they feel this way? Like, what evidence could you, like in court, right? You have to prove it and you have to provide evidence to say that this thing is real. So like, what's the evidence that like he's upset or that he's being let down by you saying no? And she's like, if you can't have that, then like, it's not true. Which is true. I make up the story in my head that like, he's going to be upset with me or like, he's going to feel really bad or this is the only time we'd hang out this month, whatever that is. So that was like there's a couple incidents that were kind of like that. That was a really big eye opener for me that maybe I have some like issues with setting good boundaries because I think I needed the time for myself or I needed to do something. And if I went to breakfast and I would be behind whatever I needed to do. And like, that's not healthy.
Yeah.
But I got to this place with my therapist when I was talking to her where she was like, where do you think this stems from? She goes, I know it's a big question, but like if you had to guess, truly, I think it stems from my work life at Chick-fil-A specifically.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I told her, I was like, it's interesting to think about, like, my bosses were some of my best friends.
Right.
And everybody that I worked with on my team, we were all friends.
Yeah.
And so anytime that you couldn't do something in the workplace, it felt like you were letting someone down on a friend level, even though like work is work and friendship is friendship. Like
It's never
there was still this emotional of like,
that.
no, if it's like saying no, even if it was for the benefit of yourself and like your job and your tasks, always felt like you were letting somebody else down. And there was sometimes was shame that came with that, specifically. Well, like within that, the executive team, there could be shame that would happen if you said no or couldn't do something or did put a boundary on. And I think it's a hard thing to be friends with someone and to work for someone if both parties aren't on the same team. And I think there was like sometimes a discrepancy in like
Right.
boss versus friend, which doesn't matter now, but like, and some of it I think I did to myself because I'm such a people pleaser and I'm such I'm such a helper. I just want to help. And so I know I make up stories and I feel bad when I can't do stuff, but I do think a lot of that comes from there. But I think it just came up whenever we were talking about, to answer your original question. I don't really know.
It's interesting. I'll throw this out here, and I'm pretty sure it's okay. But because we've talked about it a bunch. Your mom has told me on more than one or two occasions that at least when you were younger, and by younger, I mean, you know, late teens, early 20s, she described you, using your words now, as having more rigid boundaries, because she would say you would easily cut people off.
Yeah, I told my therapist that too.
You told your therapist that your mom thought that? Or
No,
you told
I told my
your
therapist
that you do that?
that I did that.
Because when I have said that to you over the last couple of years, you're like, I don't think that's right. I don't think I cut people off and that kind of stuff. Where do you fall on that now?
I think I have cut people off in the past.
Yeah.
And I told my therapist this too. I said in the past, I could have looked at you and been like, that's a really healthy boundary. Because rather than like choosing to continue to try or be in it or get like walked all over, I was like, no, I'm done. Like that's a healthy boundary. And now I'm like, maybe it was a healthy boundary at the time. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with cutting people out of your life, but there's also like what I realize as you get older. And I think like with age comes more wisdom because you've lived more life, you've seen more things and you have more understanding. You're not so like emotional or hormonal or whatever, like it just is.
Yeah.
That I'm like, I probably could have had better conversations with some of these people to gain understanding of like, why did you do that? Or help me understand. Or like, hey, like you can't say those things about me. And you have to know that saying those things about me would affect our friendship.
Right.
Because that was really why I would cut people out, is like they would maybe say negative things about me behind my back.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm done. I'm not doing that. Versus now, I think I'd be able to say like you have to know that if you're my friend and you're someone that's going to hold a place in my life that can give me advice or give me feedback, that like I have to be able to trust you and know that you're not going to talk crap about me behind my back to people.
Yeah. I mean, all that's fine. And it's interesting. I think cutting people off or out can be a healthy boundary in the right context. Yeah. For sure. Also unhealthy if you're just like, fool me once, goodbye, you know?
Well, and I think I also realized that like as I deconstruct church in general and like my experience since I was like 15 with working at a church and then being a worship leader and working at a church until I was in my early mid 20s, like there's a lot of pressure that puts on somebody. There is never a time that you can just be you. That's why I was bad at self-care. Yeah. Because every minute, I mean, this is for hardly working through it, right? But like I worked for a church that was like, yeah, we're only going to pay you 10 hours a week. Yeah. And there's no opportunity for a raise no matter how many times you come for us. But like our expectation of you is that you work like 10 hours on a Sunday, but then like you have to fulfill the rest of your tasks the rest of the time. But anytime outside of that, it's just volunteer work, which is illegal, but it's just volunteer work. Yeah. And that is the expectation that's set on you very early on. Yeah. I mean, my first job at a church was a stipend position. I guess I had an unpaid internship, but then it was a stipend position. They're like, we'll give you, it's like $200 every 2 weeks or something. That was what I got paid. That's like 10 hours of work, $10 an hour. Yeah. Yeah. My first job, I was in events. Yeah. And I remember asking for a raise after working tons of hours. And they were like, no. It's like, cool. Yeah. And then the next one was less than that. was great.
I think what's interesting though, because I understand and know which thing you're describing with people saying things behind your back, but also like you and I, and this isn't my story, so I won't get into details of it, but you've explained to me some of your past romantic relationships, some people that like needed to be cut off and some people that you would cut off and you regret having done it in the way that you did. I think it's kind of a learning experience.
Oh yeah.
You know, because the first time if you're not used to setting boundaries, the first time you set a boundary is either really uncomfortable and hard, or you're doing it because you finally got pushed to a place where you have to set a boundary, which is never, no, I shouldn't say never, I don't know, often not a healthy place to be, that you got pushed that far that you're finally like, this is over. And I've had those moments in my life as well with people. But it's interesting to see how, I don't know if you've changed or evolved in your boundaries, or if there's just different parts of you and different relationships that need, or you use different styles of boundaries with, more rigid or more porous or whatever it is. But I'm glad that you're getting some tools to work through that, or like to figure out those boundary things.
For sure. I think it'll be really good for me. Like I said, I just think there's a lot of trauma is such a big word, but I do mean it like genuinely. I think there's a lot of trauma from growing up in the church and being a volunteer, and specifically being a student leader, because they do pick out people that they know are leaders, and then they have really high expectations of you. Which like every organization does that. Schools do that. Like families do that. Like it just is a normal thing. And at the same time, it's a very high expectation when no one is teaching you how to manage that, or how to manage your feelings, or allowing. My biggest takeaway, which I think I talked about in therapy the last time, and will probably come into play at this point in time too, was like being a student leader, and never feeling like you were allowed to not be okay.
Yeah. I was talking to my therapist about this yesterday.
And so there is no opportunity to set boundaries either, because when you're not okay, guess what? You still have to show up and do the thing.
Yeah. My example with her was
you get guilted.
Yeah.
If you're like, hey, I just need a week off, or I just need to do this because like I need time for me. Well, if you do that, then all these kids or all these people are not going to have anyone. And it's like you're guilted to then show up at your worst and pretend to be at your best.
Right.
And expected to give advice or help people or be the example.
Yeah.
And I think it does more damage than
it
does. Sorry.
You know, it's weird. I've been on the other side of that. And while I've never, to the best of my knowledge, never communicated anything like this to people, specifically volunteers, I do remember thinking like, you're not going to show up on a Wednesday night just because your sibling is graduating and you're going to the graduation, rather than fulfilling the commitment that you made to be here on a Wednesday. Yeah. Like I said, I don't think I've ever said that to anybody, but I did fall into that philosophy that like, this is the most important thing. You signed a contract that said you'd be here for free no matter what. Oh, you didn't study for finals enough? Too bad. Like I definitely had the wrong mindset.
And I did that too, both in church when I worked there, and also when I worked at my job. It took me until I'd been like an executive director for 2 years, and I had been a director and like managing for me to understand. And there was a shift that happened that was like, it doesn't have to be just because this is my whole life doesn't mean this has to be everyone's whole life.
Yeah.
And it really changed my perspective of like, self-care is important, mental health is important, school's important, family's important. And and I would tell my people all the time after that, like, hey, like when was the last time you took time off?
Yeah.
And I was almost forcing them to take time off, or trying to figure out how to give them 3-day weekends or whatever, because I knew that was important.
But ironically, at least when you were working at the store, you were giving that advice, but not taking it because yourself.
I was holding the weight of what I was the one taking on the extra pressure so that they could have the time.
Yeah.
And I felt like that was the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't necessarily given the same opportunities of like,
sure,
hey, when was the last time you took time off?
Yeah, in certain ways, yeah.
There's
I see that.
Pressure the higher you are. I totally get it. But but anyways, what were you going to say?
Just the last thing is I was talking about the expectations that got put on you or anybody or myself who was either working at or volunteering at a church. Like you weren't allowed to. This is tough because they would disagree with this, but I would say, at least from being a pastor, like
from your experience,
you weren't allowed to not be okay. In the same way that it was like you weren't allowed to struggle the way that the general population of a church was allowed to struggle.
You could struggle
with not reading your Bible enough, not praying enough.
Listen, you could struggle, but then you wouldn't be in a place of leadership. You can totally struggle, but then you need to step down. Yeah. And they did that multiple times. at every church I've been to.
I was taken off the worship team for a while. To be fair, my dad had just died, and it was probably the right choice, but I was just going to keep going.
The right choice.
But yeah, it's weird when those decisions are made for you, which is not a church thing. I think it's just a
life thing,
organization thing.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, it's weird. You know, I wish when I look back on my time as a pastor in church and that kind of stuff, I wish the philosophy, not necessarily the theology, but it's kind of one and the same. I wish the philosophy was like, you're okay. You are okay. Because that's what we're all saying. We're like, we're here because we have the answers and we're okay and we're all doing it.
Yeah.
And then you go to a small group or life group and you talk about like, well, I'm struggling with lying or lust or whatever it is. And it's like, ooh. Turns out you're not okay, but we'll get you okay. We will get you okay.
Yeah.
Rather than going, hey, we're all just figuring this out. It's all actually our first rodeo.
Yeah.
And you are okay. Don't hurt people. Deal with the stuff you want to change in your life. But no, like, you're okay the way that you are.
This is something that's on my mind for our daughter.
Yeah.
Because she is in a church with her other parents. And she is such a leader that I already know that they're going to be like, hey, Brooklyn, you're a leader. Like, you should be doing blah, 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 blah. And so it's on my mind.
I haven't thought about that.
I have, because, I mean,
She's still pretty young.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't get into church leadership until, I didn't
You didn't
go
get
to
into
church
church,
until middle school. Yeah.
I started going when I was like in 4th or 5th grade.
Yeah.
And so I was considered a leader quite young.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of expectation put on you. And the more you grow up in a church, the more people know you, the more they trust you, the more they put you in positions.
Expect you to do stuff. Yeah, you know, that was one of the things that I realized too late, is that for most of my Christian life, I was a, quote, professional Christian.
Yeah.
You know, anytime you put someone on a stage, it is the unspoken thing of like, we trust these people enough to be on stage to present the values that we have and to have their life together enough that they can have a microphone.
We don't. No one does.
Nobody does. Anyway, yeah, it's interesting that, you know, when you hear people in the entertainment business, they're like, oh, I would never let my kid go into this business. Like when it comes to, they called it student leadership. I wouldn't want Brooklyn in student leadership because of what it does to you mentally. I think there's good parts to it, don't get me wrong, but the expectation that you have to carry as a kid in a religious student leadership position is more than just like, you're the secretary of your school's class. It's like, well, okay.
I mean, we'll cross that bridge when we get there, but I think you and I have a good enough, you and I know what we would like for Brooklyn and also have lived through pieces of this, and so could give good advice. And we also know what it looks like when people are taking advantage, being on both sides of it, volunteering and working for the church. So I'm not super nervous about that. I just want to prepare her, and it's something I keep my eyes on.
You know, it's interesting though. The last 2 therapists I've had,
I don't want to go.
Who knows? Yeah. I want her to I wish I had more opportunity to experience different worldviews and ideologies to kind of come to terms with it. Like my step family was Jewish, but Judaism was never pushed on me. So I didn't even explore that. Plus, if I was there for a bar mitzvah, it was all in Hebrew. I wasn't getting much out of it.
Yeah, you were just going to the party.
Tardy. Totally. I was tardy to the party. But, you know, Christianity is something that we found when my mom and stepfamily, or I guess us and our stepfamily, separated. And then in order to go to this religious middle school and high school, you had to be, quote, an active part of a youth group or youth ministry. So we did that. And a lot of good came from that. A lot of the skills and talents that I have now were developed and fostered in some of those places and spaces. But I've said it before on the show, there's a lot of things that when you're 12 or 13 and you're like, I want to give my life to this, you just don't know what else you're signing up for ideologically, physically, time-wise, all that kind of stuff. And I wish I would have known a bit more, you know?
And isn't it crazy? The amount of time they expect you to give is like I think about high school.
Yeah.
Because a high school leader, like in high school, think about it. You're like, doing 6 classes a day. If you have an after school extracurricular activity that you do, you're doing that. Practice. You're studying, you're trying to figure out what college you're going to go to and live your life. And homework is a lot, but then you're expected to be at church on Wednesdays and Saturday or Sundays. And then if you're serving, and then a life group night. So it's 3 days that you're expected to do something. And then if you're serving or you're volunteering, sometimes it's more.
Totally.
Like, isn't that crazy?
It's
to think about that, like to expect that. And then if they're working, like they have a job.
Well, you know what? I think that's part of the boundaries discussion that we're pseudo still having is when you set a 15, 16-year-old up to have a schedule like that, where one organization dominates all of their time, essentially, and they don't feel the freedom or the autonomy to say no to it, then that is setting them up to have poor boundaries, not just within their professional lives, but also their personal lives.
Yeah, it's hard to say no because you get guilted or feel bad.
And I don't think it's the job's, it's the job. I don't think it's the church's job to equip kids with boundaries and like how to set up and manage their time and that kind of stuff. I think that falls to your parents and your household. I don't think schools should be responsible for that either. But yeah, it definitely sets you up for some hard boundaries.
Yeah.
For instance, going back to what I said, if someone texted me that they wanted to get together, I never felt like I had a choice, because if you say no, why would they say no? What they know what they're doing is bad and they don't want to talk about it. Like those types of things. Yeah. And so, yeah, it's not very healthy boundaries. I don't want to bash on the organization this whole time. That's not what I mean to do, but you're now in your 30s, as am I, and we're still rewiring those boundaries that were set so early on.
Yeah. Yep. It sucks.
It's all part of life, though. It's about continuing to get better.
Yeah, I just wish that there were people in these organizations, well, specifically at the churches I went to, that have an understanding of the damage that can be done when, like, you put too much pressure on kids, or when you force them to talk about things that maybe they're not ready to talk about or don't want to talk about, or there has to be a problem or there has to be a reason.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you ever want to dig into those things specifically, but it's true.
It's a lot. And like, there is something about like, oh, you're here, you're safe. And like, you know me and you're here. But like, I think about all those people. I mean, there's some people that I still really, really love and like are just good people. My best church experience was Shepherd.
Interesting. Yeah.
Truly.
The first time?
Yeah. I mean, the second time was kind of short.
Yeah, COVID happened and all that stuff.
COVID happened and yeah.
But yes, you mean as a kid.
Yeah, it was good experience. I mean, obviously there's some trauma that comes from that, and like the pushing of like, you're a student leader and you should do all that stuff and blah, blah, blah. But that happened even more when I went to the other churches that I was at.
Yeah.
And we've talked a little bit about
that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Vital Cross doesn't exist anymore.
Nope. That's how you know it was good.
Yeah.
Good
They're not
enough
even
to
pastors
be gone.
anymore. They moved to Illinois and they live there, and good for you. Shouldn't be leading anybody. It's the truth.
Hey, speak your truth.
Not everyone is meant to lead.
Totally.
Not everyone is. Just because you have a quote unquote calling doesn't mean that you really are. Just something you want to do. And if you just say it that way, like, I want to do this thing.
I wish more people were talking about that, and maybe we can. But just saying you have a
working
calling
through it.
on your life is not authority to hold over people.
Yeah.
Especially
talk
when
about that in
2,
a heartbeat
3,
with
4, 5 years later, that calling miraculously disappeared.
Yeah. Now it's
Weird.
something different.
Weird. Anyway, hit me with the name of that book again, just in case anyone's listening and is interested in having healthier boundaries in their life.
Pretty sure it's called Set Boundaries, Find Peace.
I believe that's correct.
Yes. A guide to reclaiming yourself.
Yep. And I won't make you read the author's name again because it sounded complicated.
It's only one.
Set boundaries.
And she has a great Instagram. If you follow her on Instagram, she like posts a lot of stuff on there too, which is cool.
Find peace. Two
boundaries,
things
find
that are
peace.
good. Look, and hey, if one precedes the other, that means want to find some peace, set some healthy boundaries. And check out Therapist Jeff on TikTok, which we haven't talked about. But he pops up on my feed all the time. That dude is consistently giving helpful information for free.
Yeah.
Unlike us, who mostly gives you stories about a man getting 3 parasites because he ate a live crab that pinched his daughter on the foot.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. But what you should do is have
listen
yourself
to Hardly Working.
Listen to Hardly
and follow
Working.
us on Instagram at Hardly Working Insta, and email us if you have any fun stories or any questions or just want to tell us how you feel. If you agree with us, disagree with us, I don't care. I want to hear it all at hardlyworkingfans@gmail.com.
That's true. Honestly, I feel like it's been cool to see the podcast growing, and I've consistently forgotten to shout out the Instagram, the email. We mostly use the Instagram, but we do check the email as well. But I should be shouting that out. And if you haven't, subscribe. That always helps. So you get these every single
subscribe,
week.
Bookmark, save for later, whatever it is. I don't know.
Yeah, and if you find like particularly like a hardly working through it that has a question that you feel like would be good for somebody, send them the link to that episode of the podcast. You know,
or let us know what you want to talk about, what you want us to talk about, because we're so smart.
We are so available. That's what we are. We are available.
We're willing
and able to talk for long periods of time, just like we did. I thought today would be a short episode.
It's not.
It's not.
But now I'm hungry, so let's get some food, huh?
Let's do it. Let's get ready to celebrate Father's Day. I know it's already happened by the time people listen, but for us, we're in the past.
Woo!
Talking to you in the future.
How crazy time travel.
So we're going to make it happen. Hey, I love you. Thanks for sharing all your stuff.
Thanks for asking some good questions.
Yeah, and we love you guys. I hope you have a wonderful week and spend most of your time hardly working. Bye.
I knew you were going to go up. I knew it.